You know, I feel sorry to the fans because the fight is boring. You know, the fight is boring. Like that's not the fans are expecting to us.
Certain Terence Crawford in his brain is saying to himself, I can beat this dude. You know what I'm saying? If he actually goes through with it, he'll be 38 years of age next Sunday.
Right now in the sport, that's supposed to be the man, you know, big bad wolf. You beat him, you the wolf. Now it's like, you know what I mean? Like, all right, well, so I'm gonna fight. You beat the shark, you beat the wolf.
Manny Pacquiao took a jab at Floyd Mayweather for calling out Terence Crawford, arguing that fans deserve more than another dull exhibition. He pointed out that Mayweather has been retired for years and hasn't had a real fight in a long time, making the call-out pointless.
You know, the fight is boring. Like that's not the fans are expecting to us. I mean, as a fighter, if I'm a fan, of course I want to see a good fight, like changing fight, not a passion show.
Manny Pacquiao didn't mince words when addressing Floyd Mayweather, admitting he actually feels pity for the retired champion. He argued that Mayweather's comebacks have nothing to do with legacy or competition, but everything to do with chasing paydays through empty exhibitions. Pacquiao dismissed the idea of a Terence Crawford fight as pure greed disguised as boxing, saying it strips the sport of its warrior spirit and reduces it to a business show fighter strutting for money, instead of fighting for greatness.
Now, in the beginning of this conversation, you say, I don't like boastful people. How was it like fighting Mayweather then? Did he get on your nerves? Because I feel like he's a little bit more boastful than the people you might be wanting to hang out with.
Yeah, he's boastful. I think his God is the material things, money, everything like that. I'm pity with him because I want to share the word of God in him if he believe God.
Yeah, I've heard he's a generous man. I think he's done good things. I think, you know, he kind of reminds me of like a lot of people are like this, by the way, including myself. I'm not just saying him. I'm including myself. The man who goes up to Jesus and says, what should I do to get into heaven? He says, sell all your belongings. And he walked away crying because he couldn't sell his belongings.
Exactly.
The announcement of Floyd Mayweather versus Mike Tyson in 2026 has sent shockwaves through the boxing world. Analysts were quick to point out that the matchup is less about competition at the highest level and more about a money-driven spectacle, marketed as a tune-up for Mayweather before a possible clash with Terence Crawford later in the year. The fight is seen by many as a carefully packaged cash grab. With Tyson's legendary status and Mayweather's global brand, the event is guaranteed to draw massive pay-per-view numbers despite offering little in terms of genuine sport.
Broadcast for Jake and Tyson and you know, some people like the likes of Carl Froch viewed that as an endorsement. Like, look, man, I'm just working. It's a big opportunity to be on Netflix. I didn't put the fight together. I'm not paying these guys. So, you know, let's chill out. But all right, I'm not going to poo-poo this. I just don't know what CSI is. And the way it was presented made me think that there was like a secondary press release to come, that they'll be involved in like some sort of like virtual boxing thing. Like, it just didn't seem real. You know why it didn't seem real? I'll tell you why. There's no date attached to it. There's no venue attached to it. Forget rules, exhibition, not exhibition, weight. I mean, here's a guy who fought a heavyweight fighting forget all that. These things can get figured out, the fine details. The fact that it was announced, why announce something with no date or location attached to it? What's the point? Unless you're just trying to get people excited and trying to get them, you know, trying to get some investors or something like that.
But maybe also testing the waters. If the response was overwhelmingly positive, maybe you go, okay, we move forward. If the response is muted or negative, maybe you go, okay, we're not going to actually do this. You know, you lob it out there as a way to poll the public, and then make an adjustment.
So you don't think it happens?
I do not think it happens. I just don't think there will be enough interest. I know they have huge name value. There's zero, after the last performance by Mike Tyson against Jake Paul, I don't think there's going to be interest in seeing Mike Tyson do that again.
Terence Crawford has long expressed deep respect for Manny Pacquiao, describing his career as truly one of a kind in boxing history. He praised Pacquiao's ability to conquer multiple weight divisions, consistently beating bigger opponents and excelling against the odds. To Crawford, Pacquiao's accomplishments weren't just historic, they were nearly impossible to duplicate. He believes the Filipino legend achieved greatness in a unique era, taking on challenges that few fighters would have ever dared.
Man, a generational, talented fighter. Like, he's accomplished what no other fighter is ever going to accomplish.
Shock the world, not me, but shock the world. This past Saturday, Mexican Independence Day weekend, what he took on and defeated another first ballot Hall of Famer, but he essentially jumped up 3 weight classes, technically 2, from 154 to 168, but only had 1 fight at 154 last August against Israel Majamov. Terence Crawford defeated Saul Canelo Alvarez, who is a 4-division champion, 2-time undisputed super middleweight, and the reigning, at the time, super middleweight world champion, undisputed world champion. And Terence Crawford beat him handily and convincingly. And because he beat him so easily, now the 63 win, 3 loss, 2 draw, 39 win by way of knockout, biggest threat has been now imposed on Terence Bud Crawford. And that's the Mexican Ecuadorian monster, David Benavidez, who is a 2-division undefeated world champion, is the 2-time WBC super middleweight and reigning WBC light heavyweight, 175-pound champion, who has a record of 30 wins, no loss, no draw, 24 wins by way of knockout. He stands 6'2" with a 75-inch arm reach. This is a fight that David Benavidez has been calling for Canelo Alvarez when he was at 168, and Canelo Alvarez strategically maneuvered around him. But Canelo Alvarez is 5'7" with a 70-inch arm reach, started his career at 147 pounds, made his real name at 154 pounds. He's not a big guy, okay? And styles make fights. Benavidez is 6'2" with a 75-inch arm reach. His last fight at 168 against Demetrius Andrade, he rehydrated to 193. So he's a big guy. Canelo Alvarez probably rehydrate to 182, maybe 185 max, right? He's not a big guy, right?
The idea of Terence Crawford taking on David Benavidez has quickly set the boxing world buzzing. Benavidez, with his size, youth, and unrelenting aggression, is considered one of the sport's most dangerous forces, someone capable of testing Crawford like no opponent before. Though the matchup remains unconfirmed and purely speculative, the growing excitement underscores fans' demand for hype, legacy-defining battles over the exhibition-style spectacles that have dominated recent...
Because you got to remember, Canelo is the guy right now in the sport that's supposed to be the man, you know, big bad wolf. You beat him, you the wolf. Now it's like, you know what I mean? Like, all right, who else I'm gonna fight? You beat the shark, you beat the wolf. Right. Damn. Like, you know what I mean? Ain't no more ops out there. It's ops out there, but who gonna make them really want to get up? That's the
shit gotta make sense. Like you said, you beat a shark and then you beat a wolf.
Yeah.
But there's the monster.
Yeah, there is, but that's like a real monster.
Bro, that's to me it don't make sense. But that's
really
what
a monster.
Yo, is that proof? All right, we got the legendary Pape in the building. Legend. But what makes sense? Like, what makes the most sense? I know you said get a line of suits, Brooks Brothers.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Your line of suits, get your money, man. Go ahead and get the easy money, man. You ain't gotta sweat no more.
What's up, boy?
Not saying you ain't gotta work, you ain't gotta sweat.
What's happening?
He's paved a career where he could sit down at a table and get this money. He could come out with a Terence Crawford series now, just whatever, doing whatever he like to do. People gonna watch it. Nobody, the fighting part, people don't understand what it's like to be a fighter. A lot of times fighters really don't be interested in certain fights. It's cause when a guy see himself up here and then is fighting a guy down here, it don't interest him. So therefore, when he train, he not gonna really train. He gonna train, but he not gonna train. He not gonna listen. He gonna feel like his coach taking it too serious, and he's like, man, this ain't even that. But your coach like, listen, you can get fucked up. I'm telling you. You don't want to listen. Then you go in there and fight that guy. Then you get I seen it happen.
Trainer Greg Hackett was full of praise after Terence Crawford's emphatic victory over Canelo Alvarez. He called Canelo the shark of boxing, a dominant force who had long ruled the sport with power and precision. For Hackett, Crawford's decision not only to face Canelo but to dismantle him marks a seismic shift at boxing's summit. By defeating a fighter once considered untouchable, Crawford has become the new predator in the waters, the man every contender must now fear. Hackett's words spark a critical question. if Crawford can topple the toughest fighter of his generation, who is left that can truly challenge.
But I think there was enough action, and I think Crawford displayed his skill enough, even to someone with not the most trained eye, that they know they saw a very high-level athlete perform something at a very high level last night. I think he gained the sports world's attention last night and respect. He already did after Spence, but it went to another level in this fight.
And I think even the fight itself, like just from a median level, but then the moments where they were having these exchanges, like kind of late in the fight, then people were like, all right, it was good. Then like, okay, I saw somebody like, they're squabbing. Like, there's a fight here. So I think it did.
And Crawford closed the show.
Yeah.
In 10, 11, 12, he stood in there and landed some hard shots and rocked Canelo at the bell. He didn't. Well, James was talking about the great Floyd Mayweather. Floyd would go up on you 8-0 and then coast, and you might as well turn the fight off at midway through the ninth. Like, you know, he's not gonna. But Crawford didn't do that. But he wasn't up 8-0, to be fair to Floyd. But Floyd was when he fought Canelo, so he could do that. But Bud instead steps on the gas. Bud is a finisher. You know, he closes really strong. He closes really strong in every exchange. That's one of his gifts. He's the best counterpuncher of his era, one of the greatest counterpunchers that lived. But the great fighters, James would tell us about this. James and Mike McCallum put on fights that exemplify what I'm talking about: initiating and punctuating, being first, being last. That's one of the things that makes Crawford who he is. So, no, I think it was a good enough fight that it certainly didn't hurt boxing.
Yeah, I think sport of boxing delivered last night. I mean, Crawford didn't deliver.
Yeah,
Manny,
did.
Analysts widely agree that Terence Crawford's dominant win over Canelo Alvarez was the defining moment of his career, solidifying his place among boxing's all-time greats. Before the fight, Crawford had already silenced critics by dismantling Errol Spence, proving his superiority against an elite rival. But beating Canelo carried even greater significance. Long regarded as one of the sport's pound-for-pound kings, Canelo built his legacy across multiple divisions, often conquering bigger, stronger opponents. Crawford didn't just pass that test, he dismantled Canelo in a way few thought possible. The performance showcased his adaptability, technical brilliance, and mental toughness, proving his greatness transcends weight classes and styles. With this victory, Crawford erased all lingering doubts and earned near universal recognition as a fighter who has conquered every challenge in front of him.
Would I bet that Ilia Topuria could knock Terence Crawford out? No chance. If I had to bet Ilia Topuria versus Terence Crawford, I'm betting Terence Crawford. I mean, he's the best boxer in the world, and this is what he does, and he's done his entire life. But we also knew that about Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather. We knew, right, deep down, that Conor McGregor was not going to knock out Floyd Mayweather. But because of what we had seen him do inside of the octagon, what we had seen him do to all those great fighters in MMA, when he walked into that ring, people thought he had a chance. He didn't really have a chance. Conor never had a chance against Floyd Mayweather. And it would feel that way with Topuria. But you could at least sell that there's a chance because of how good he is in boxing and how he knocks people out inside the UFC. Initially, I thought Bud Crawford would just no-sell Ilia Topuria, right? When you're the king and everybody's calling your name, you can literally just ignore them and nobody will say anything about it. But Bud Crawford isn't one to ignore stuff.